I've recently discovered both Fair Isle knitting with two colors and reversible knitting, um, both of which require two-stranded knitting. And I've as well recently discovered continental knitting, which allows you to use two-stranded knitting, two different colors, and guided through the same hand. So what I realized quickly was that it would be helpful to have a tool that would separate the yarn as it comes through so that you're not always kind of trying to pull this yarn apart. So I did some searching on Google and looked for a yarn guide ring or a strand guide ring. And what I found was that there are 2 or 3 options available, but options are very limited. There's not very much out there. So I thought I would kind of experiment with coming up with my own design, see what I could figure out. And actually I'm kind of a little pleased with the results. So I want to show you how these work. I actually opened up a shop on Etsy, and I have several of these listed on Etsy. And this is probably my favorite design, and I already have it clipped on my work. So I just kind of wanted to show you how this works. So I've got my two-stranded work here, and I'm going to slip this up to the top, and I am going to just kind of slip that on my finger. One of the things that I like about this particular design is that this with this butterfly on top, the strands actually guide down along the butterfly wings, which gives it a little bit of an added bonus. I'm going to slip that up kind of snug, and to hold this, I usually slip this finger in the middle of the two strands, and again that gives it a little added bonus of you know, parting the yarn. And then right under my pinky, that's going to split, the yarn's going to go down the side, and then when you get up here you have I'm going to turn that so that they're but when you get up here, no, I'm not. When you get up here, you have this. You have a bit of a split. I like to keep my work my finger kind of close to my work, so I'm gonna pull that, and I'm just gonna show you how this works. So I'm going to knit that, and because it's reversible, you come around to this other side, you pick up that, and so you're basically doing kind of a knit purl action. But if you'll notice, that just keeps those strands very nicely separated, so that the bigger part of the time that I spend working is not spent trying to separate those yarns. Now, obviously, as I said, I'm new to Fair Isle knitting, and I'm new to reversible knitting, and I'm also new to continental knitting. So don't critique the speed of my work. Just look at how the ring works. So I'm going to show you then. This is one design, and I am at this point going to clip this off. And usually I will leave this attached to my work the whole time I'm working. It will just slip down, and then you know, when you put your work down, and then you can pull it right back up and pick up where you left off. And actually I have another one already hooked on, so I don't have to go through the time of hooking another one on, and I'm going to show you a different style. May have been easier to have it hooked on, because now I'm all tangled. Okay. This is a very, very simple design, one of the simplest designs, and so you don't have the little butterfly on the top. It's just a very, very simple design. I have, and I'm just going to slip that on my finger, and this is going to work the same way. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. Probably would have been easier to clip it on and off. But again, I'm going to split that. And the reason I do this is because what I found is that if I don't split this up here, the yarn as it comes up, you know, if I just wrap it around like normal, the yarn as it comes up has a tendency to sometimes get tangled right here behind these. And so this just kind of splitting that prevents that from happening, and so you don't get the twisting and the knotting right up there at the top of the ring. So do a few more stitches here. I think I am. Again, don't critique the work. I'm a rookie. And here we go. And generally, once you kind of get in the groove and things get separated, or once I get in the groove and things get separated out, it runs pretty quickly. Sometimes I have found that depending on where the tension is at, sometimes I found that if I hold it a little bit too tightly, the yarn doesn't move as smoothly through. And so every once in a while, if it's not moving smoothly, I just don't even do the wrap. I just kind of pull it up here. I might, again, separate it out there. But that will leave it. If I'm, running really quickly and the yarn's kind of going through really quickly, sometimes it's easier just not to have that tension, let the ring be the provider of the tension. I have several different designs. This is using vintage buttons and just little seed beads. One of the things, and you'll find if you check out my Etsy store at GIB here too, G as in George, IB as in boy, HERE and the number 2, a GIB here too, you'll find several designs with the using vintage buttons. One of the things that I like about this particular design, and I'll hold the display for another video, but one of the things I like about the large buttons is that the yarn coming from the other side tends to kind of split back here, and so that just kind of adds to how well it splits when you get up here. So there are some very simple designs, and there are some more complicated. All work the same way. Again, the butterfly wings help kind of keep that separated. The larger buttons are good for keeping it separated, but these little simple ones work very well. Pricing, it worked very well as well. Pricing ranges dependent on what the material costs to make it and how long it took me to make it. So if it took, an hour or so, you're going to find the price a little bit higher. This little guy is, he took a little while to make, but I really am not pleased with the, it's an okay design, but the color doesn't really pop. So this little guy is $5 on my Etsy shop. And so if you wanted to try one of the yarn guides out, it would be a good one, or this one would be a good one to start with, just to get an idea about whether it would work for you. Happy shopping. Check out my store on Etsy, and if I can answer any questions for you, I would be happy to do that. Have a great day. Happy knitting.